All right. So yeah, today I'm gonna talk about boombox, a deck that me and my friends recently took to a cup, um, and we got two top eights with the deck, and just wanted to kind of like dive into the idea of how we come up with these decks, and just the decision making behind playing these sorts of odd rogue decks. So boombox is a deck that my two friends Bryson and Armand have played in the past. The list looked different. It was before Path to the Peak had rotated, so you would blow up the fortress, you would Iono, play Path to the Peak, and then just sort of lock the opponent behind Path to the Peak while having all these attackers that you're able to use. Um, and so for this iteration, our good friend Yen is kind of the deck refiner and the deck builder for us. So someone comes up with the idea, and then we send it off to Yen, and he builds the list for us, and then we just play test it. Um, and so that's how we got to this picture, the three of us all on the same 60. So let's dive into the deck building process. So the premise of the deck was really just that turn 2 Roxanne, every single game, is extremely strong. UEX and Fez are basically the only draw engine Pokemon at the moment. Things like Barrel and Greninja have kind of fallen out of favor or are in decks but aren't always played like turn 1. So punishing those two being the only draw engines was really good. Because our opponent may not be prepared to pre-bench them, or if they pre-bench them, then they become the target for what we kill. So here's the 60 that we landed on. Um, so yeah, the basic idea is turn 2, you blow up a fortress and you blow up a Dusclops, and then you're able to Roxanne. And then you have your Teal Mask, your Blood Moon, and your Iron Hands as attackers to be able to respond to whatever is on your opponent's board. And then we have the Noctowl engine to be able to search out any of these trainer cards. We do have 16 ball cards, which is pretty funny. However, that Capturing Aroma turn 2 does guarantee us a Terramon, so that way we can use our Noctowl, which is pretty crazy. And then if we ever were to just find a Terramon naturally or Ultra Ball for it while we have Hyper Aroma in hand, Hyper Aroma does just guarantee us full combo. And we can also grab that off the Noctowl. So like this deck is just built to be able to play off itself pretty much within any single hand. Um, and then we have basic great attackers such as Iron Hands and Teal Mask to be able to take 2 prizes every single turn of the game. And then we have the Charm, Blood Moon, Ursaluna, and Switch combo to be able to take out any 2 prize threat. And then maybe even stay on the field for a turn. So this is the premise of the deck. There are some funny one-ofs in here, such as like Energy Surge, but that card is so broken if you don't naturally find that lightning you need for your Iron Hands. This is the deck. The supporter count, only having 4 supporters, is so funny, and it just worked. Like this deck just like performed on the day, performed in testing. However, it is pretty gimmicky, and we'll get into that. So your basic setup for this deck truly is just hitting 1 Pineco, 1 Duskull, and 1 Hoothoot. More Hoothoots, the better, obviously. But you can get away with just the 1 for your second turn. So this board state right here is a pretty common board state. You may have something like a Teal Mask on there instead. But this is pretty much all you really need to be able to have a turn 2 success. All right, so let's talk about the matchups. So going into this, we kind of thought we had a decent matchup into most decks that we would assume were going to be in the room. There might be other meta decks that you are considering, but for our local meta, this is pretty much everything that we had expected, and I'm pretty positive everything that was in the room. There was probably 1 Guardy, maybe 1 Roaring Moon, but at the 1-of count, if we hit it, we figure it out in the moment. So this is what we thought we were going into. The reason Raging Bolt is so bad is just because they are just always able to respond KO our 2 prize Pokemon after we Roxanne them. That deck is just, every single card is just designed to draw more cards. So after that Roxanne, they're able to just always recover and take a 2 prize knockout and have 8 cards in hand. So Really, that matchup came down to the second Roxanne sticking, and then your Blood Moon Ursaluna with a charm taking a knockout onto a Raging Bolt, and then that second Roxanne sticking is what it came down to, and most times it did not. However, I do think we were 2-0 into the deck on the day, but that feels like a bit of a fraudulent record. If I remember correctly, I played one and it was not a very real match, and they had game on board if they were paying attention. So they had Briar, Teal Mask Chaos, but it's okay. Whereas the rest of the matchups, we thought we had a winning time or at least a decent time into. Decks that were really weird were definitely Miraidon. Just not really too sure how to get those final two prizes. But Miraidon doesn't have like a Raichu, so your Blood Moon with a charm is pretty good. Your Teal Mask with a charm is pretty good. And also, they have to go Iron Hands turn 1 into you, and you can kind of just ignore the Iron Hands for a turn, because the only thing that they can kill with the Iron Hands after turn 1 is a bench guy, so they need Gust, and you're Roxanning them, so you just kind of hope they're not drawing into it. Zard is a pretty good matchup. You're able to just chase down Baby Mons with Iron Hands and take 4 prizes with Iron Hands almost every single game, and then you can just kind of Gust a bench liability to kill with like a Teal Mask, with a Blood Moon, or you can use Teal Mask to kill a Zard. So it's a decent matchup. Trapagos, same kind of idea. You just chase down Pidgeys, and you just never let them get the Pidgeot online by killing it with Iron Hands. And at the end, you can just go Blood Moon. And if they play the Bouffalantes, then you can just kill 2 things on the bench with like a Blood Moon and a Charm, and they can't kill it. So it's a pretty fine matchup. Pult is a weird one. The Pult is just so like strong once it gets an attacker online that it makes the matchup pretty difficult. But most of the time, that Roxanne is able to brick them and you're able to win. But Pult is just kind of a weird one to navigate. And then Regidrago, they just have so many good attackers into us. They're able to if they're able to get established, they're able to get a lot done. The Radiant Charizard is really strong into us. And in top 8, I played a Regidrago that had played Bryson earlier that day. So they preemptively benched Mew EX, Fez EX, and Radzard and attached energy to Radzard. So they were prepared for me to take 2 prizes and then just go double E-switch, swing with Radzard turn 3. So it was just really tough. But that matchup is, I think, pretty 50-50. Your Roxannes often stick, especially if you go Roxanne, kill Teal Mask. It's a pretty good matchup. So yeah, why did we land on this deck? Really, it's just because this deck was a joy to play. We found this deck to be really fun to play. We thought it had a decent spread into the meta. We enjoyed the fact that it was like kind of toolbox-esque, meaning our attackers every game were dependent on like what our opponent's board looked like, which makes playing the deck more of like a puzzle, which is always really fun. So that's what led us to choose this deck. Yeah, I just think this deck was good, had a decent spread, and we were able to get 7th, 8th, and 9th at the tournament on it. I think the cup had something like 36 players. I don't remember exactly, but it was a great time. Definitely recommend trying out this deck at your local scene if you're interested, and playing something kind of janky. All right, well, that does it for this video. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed learning about Boombox and getting to see behind the curtain a little bit as to how we built it and why we played it. I hope to make more videos like these. Recently, we took Kofu using Veluza and Crabominal to a cup, and we're able to get 8th and 5th place with it. So maybe a video coming out later on that. We're still kind of working on the deck, so don't want to leak all of the secrets just yet for that one. But thanks for watching the video about Boombox. Hopefully more Pokemon content coming soon. Appreciate it. See you eventually.